Marshals Season 2, Episode 1 has to do something in its opening minutes that no episode of television in this franchise has ever been asked to do. It has to look at a 12-year-old boy who killed a man and figure out what that costs. The Season 1 finale of Marshals ended with 3 crises detonating simultaneously, and the Episode 1 trailer makes clear that October 4th is the night every one of them has to be accounted for. Tate Dutton shot one of Thomas Rainwater's assassins in the finale's final act. The bullet hit. The man died. Kayce was shot in the crossfire during the same sequence and arrived at Season 2 carrying a wound of his own. Tom Weaver took Tate to Texas on a private jet while Kayce was still down. Cal and Belle drove toward what the show confirmed was an ambush they were not likely to survive. 4 people the audience loves are in some version of danger before Episode 1's title card appears on the screen, and the trailer reveals that a 5th threat is already inside East Camp waiting for Kayce when he gets home. Who is the mystery man in the suit, and does his knowledge of the Dutton name extend to the specific detail that Kayce's son just killed a man on Thomas Rainwater's front lawn? Is the Park City, Utah production shift for Season 2 a signal that Episode 1 takes Kayce out of Montana earlier than anyone expected, and does the show's new filming location confirm the Texas theory that the trailer has been building toward since Tate boarded that private jet? Will Episode 1 open with Tate's act of violence as the scene that reframes the entire season's emotional stakes, or does the show treat it as background information and push immediately into the syndicate confrontation that the trailer centers on? Does Kayce being shot in the Season 1 finale affect his physical capability in Episode 1, or has the show resolved that off-screen in the weeks between the 2 seasons? And is the CBS decision to premiere Episode 1 at 8:30 p.m. rather than the show's regular 8 p.m. slot the network's acknowledgement that the Season 1 finale left the audience in a state that requires half an hour of NFL to decompress before they are ready for what comes next? Every one of those questions has an answer, and this breakdown covers all of them. The single most emotionally important detail in the Season 1 finale that the Episode 1 trailer is building directly on top of is the one that has been most underreported in the fan conversation. Tate Dutton is 12 years old. In the sequence where Thomas Rainwater is being attacked by assassins who have come to kill the Broken Rock chairman, Kayce is shot and goes down. Tate, who is present at the scene, picks up a weapon and shoots one of the assassins. The man dies. That is not a metaphor or a near miss or a dramatic close call. A child killed a man. The show made that choice deliberately in its season finale, and it made it in a way that positions the emotional opening of Season 2, Episode 1, not around Kayce's investigation of Tom Weaver, but around a father who has to look at his son and reckon with what that son did and what it will cost him. Every fan who has followed Tate across 5 seasons of Yellowstone, from the kidnapping at the hands of the Beck brothers that permanently altered the character's psychology, through the years of grief following Monica's death, into his new life in Montana with a father who is himself still healing, knows that Tate is not a simple character. He is a child who has been shaped by violence his entire life, and the Season 1 finale made him a participant in it rather than a witness. However, unfortunately, the specific complexity of Tate's act in the finale is that it was not wrong. He saved Thomas Rainwater's life. He protected his father. By every utilitarian measure available, Tate did the right thing, and the question that Episode 1 has to answer is whether doing the right thing in those circumstances leaves the same mark on a 12-year-old that it left on Kayce when he first crossed that line at a much older age. The evidence from how Marshals has always used Kayce's past violence as a wound that never fully heals, as the thing that makes him simultaneously the most capable and most damaged person in every room he enters, tells the audience that Tate's act is not going to be processed and filed away in Episode 1. It is going to be the season's emotional ground base. Every decision Kayce makes about how hard to go after Tom Weaver, every choice about how much damage he is willing to do to get Tate back, is going to be made in the shadow of the knowledge that his son has already crossed the line that Kayce spent years convincing himself was the most important one not to cross. The evidence strongly suggests that Episode 1 is the episode where Kayce Dutton understands that the war he is about to fight is not just about Tate's location, it is about Tate's future. The most likely explanation for what Episode 1's opening sequence shows is the one that the trailer's own structure suggests. The footage does not begin with Tate or with the aftermath of the shooting. It begins with the confrontation inside East Camp, the mystery man in the suit, Kayce's line about stories not yet heard, the violence that follows. The evidence from how Sheridan always opens his season premieres tells the audience that whatever the most painful and emotionally complex material is, it gets addressed after the adrenaline has established that the season is moving at speed. Episode 1 almost certainly opens in the immediate aftermath of the Season 1 finale. Tate accounted for, Cal and Belle's status unclear, Kayce dealing with his own wound, and then pivots to the East Camp confrontation in the episode's first act. However, unfortunately, the evidence from the trailer's specific visual grammar suggests that the East Camp confrontation happens earlier in the timeline than the show is presenting it. The mystery man, sitting inside Kayce's home with armed backup, did not arrive because Kayce came home and found him. He was already there. He came to the property while Kayce was at Rainwater's while the shooting was happening, while Tate was making the choice that no one his age should have to make. The evidence strongly suggests that the syndicate above Tom Weaver had eyes on the Rainwater situation and moved against East Camp the moment they knew Kayce was occupied elsewhere. The theory that changes the entire shape of Season 2, Episode 1 is the one about the Park City, Utah production shift, and the evidence from the filming location change is the most significant logistical detail the show has released about Season 2's geographic ambitions. Season 1 filmed almost entirely in Montana, the landscapes, the reservation, the eastern ranch country that defines the Yellowstone universe's visual identity. When CBS announced that Season 2 production began on June 8, 2026, in Park City, Utah, the choice of location was not simply a production convenience. Park City does not look like Montana. It looks like the Wasatch Front, like the high desert country that sits between Montana and Texas. The most logical conclusion from a production team that chose Utah for a show set in Montana is that Season 2 requires geography that Montana cannot provide. Geography that suggests a journey rather than a home base. The evidence from the trail Tom Weaver left by taking Tate to Texas on a private jet tells the audience that Episode 1 is the episode where Kayce Dutton begins moving south. Park City may be where that movement is filmed, and the Wasatch landscapes may be the visual language the show uses to signal that Kayce is leaving the known world of Marshals Season 1 and entering something different. However, unfortunately, the most alarming implication of that geographic shift is what it means for the Marshals team that Kayce is leaving behind. Andrea Cruz has returned to Montana, despite the Washington position the Season 1 finale pointed her toward. Miles Kittle is on desk duty after his rogue operation. The team is already operating below capacity, and if Kayce heads south in Episode 1, the Montana operation, the Broken Rock investigation, the rainwater protection, the ongoing cartel fentanyl threads that Season 1 established, continues without its most capable member. The evidence from how Season 2's expanded episode count accommodates both a Texas arc and a Montana arc suggests that Episode 1 is the hinge point where those two threads are established as simultaneous rather than sequential, with Kayce moving south while the team manages what he has left behind. The evidence strongly suggests that the Park City filming is specifically for the sequences that bridge Montana and Texas, and that what the audience sees in Episode 1 is the last time Kayce operates in his established world before the geography of the season begins pulling him away from it. The most emotionally loaded element of the trailer that fans have been passing over in favor of the fistfight footage is the shot of Dolly Weaver standing alongside Kayce during the confrontation with the syndicate's operators. The evidence from that visual placement has convinced most fans that Dolly's loyalty question has been resolved. She chose Kayce over her father, she knows what Tom did, she is actively working against the criminal organization her family helped build. However, unfortunately, the evidence from the Season 1 finale's specific positioning of Dolly suggests the situation is more nuanced than a simple loyalty declaration. Dolly told Kayce she never cared about the land, only about him. That statement was made before the fishing trip, before Tom took Tate, before Dolly understood the full scope of what her father was. Episode 1 is almost certainly the episode where Dolly learns what Tom has actually done, and the scene where that knowledge lands on her, where the fishing trip becomes a kidnapping in Dolly's understanding, is one of the most important scenes in the entire season. The evidence strongly suggests that Dolly's appearance alongside Kayce in the trailer is not the beginning of the Season 2 story, but the result of something that happens in Episode 1 that makes her alliance with Kayce non-negotiable. That something is the moment she learns where Tate actually is. While the Tate situation and the syndicate confrontation dominate the trailer, there is a third thread that Episode 1 has to establish before the season can do anything else, and it belongs to Cal and Belle. The evidence from the Season 1 finale's final moments is unambiguous about the severity of what they walked into. Both Logan Marshall Green and Ariel Kebbel have confirmed they are returning in Season 2, but Marshall Green's specific language, confirming Episode 1 and declining to speak for Episode 2, is the most carefully worded survival confirmation in the franchise's history. Episode 1 presumably shows the immediate aftermath of the ambush. Cal and Belle are alive at the start of the episode, or they appear in the episode in some capacity. However, unfortunately, alive at the start of Episode 1 and alive at the end of Episode 1 are not the same guarantee, and the combination of Cal's confirmed pancreas tumor and the ambush injuries creates a medical situation that the show's writers have specifically designed to be unresolvable through simple narrative convenience. Episode 1 cannot wave away what the Season 1 finale established about Cal's body. The cancer was already progressing before the bullets arrived. The two threats, the tumor and the ambush, do not cancel each other out. They compound each other. A man whose immune system is already compromised by a pancreas tumor is not the same patient as a healthy man who has been shot. His recovery timeline, his treatment options, his prognosis, all of it changes in ways that the show cannot simply resolve in a single episode and move on from. However, unfortunately, the most painful possibility for Season 2 Episode 1 is not that Cal dies. It is that he survives in a condition that makes everything he was to the team, the most experienced operative, the steadiest tactical mind, the person who understood the fentanyl cartel operation better than anyone else, permanently unavailable to the people who need him most, precisely when the season's most dangerous operation is about to begin. The evidence from Logan Marshall Green's own careful language suggests that the show has made a specific decision about Cal's arc in Season 2, and that the decision is one the actor feels the weight of. Season 2, Episode 1 may be the most medically complicated hour of television this franchise has ever attempted. The secondary context that every fan needs before October 4th is the institutional significance of what CBS has built with Marshals. The show became the #1 new series premiere of the 2025-26 broadcast television season. It was the best scripted series premiere without a football lead-in since 2018. It averaged 20.4 million multi-platform viewers across the first 8 episodes of Season 1. CBS renewed it 2 weeks after the premiere, not after the finale, after the second episode. Those numbers represent something the broadcast television industry had largely stopped expecting. A new drama that actually grows its audience, rather than eroding it week over week. The evidence from CBS's institutional confidence in Marshals, confirmed by moving it from a mid-season slot to a fall premiere position alongside the most competitive viewing landscape of the year, tells the audience that the network believes Season 2 is at least as good as Season 1, and possibly significantly better. Placing Tracker at 9 p.m. behind Marshals is not incidental. Tracker, starring Justin Hartley, was CBS's most-watched drama across the 2024-25 season. CBS is building a Sunday night lineup where its 2 biggest shows anchor back-to-back, and that scheduling confidence is only offered to shows the network believes are defining the Sunday night landscape rather than merely occupying it. The speed of the Season 2 renewal, 2 weeks after the premiere, before most viewers had finished watching Season 1, confirms that CBS understood exactly what it had before the ratings finished telling the story. Episode 1 at 8:30 p.m. rather than 8 p.m. is a function of NFL running long, but it is also a signal, CBS is treating October 4th as an event. After everything the trailer has explained, and everything the confirmed production details have revealed, the question every fan is holding is the one that the Tate situation makes most urgent. When the October 4th premiere arrives, and Episode 1 finally answers what happened in the hours after the Season 1 finale, is the show going to address what Tate did with the weight that choice deserves? Marshals Season 2 premieres on CBS on Sunday, October 4th, 2026, at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, with Episode 2 returning to the regular 8 p.m. Eastern slot on October 11th and continuing on Sundays from there. Paramount Plus premium subscribers can stream live as episodes air on CBS. All other Paramount Plus subscribers can stream the following day. The season runs 18 to 20 episodes, significantly longer than Season 1's 13, which means the Tate rescue arc, the Cal and Belle medical storyline, the syndicate investigation, and the Dolly loyalty arc all have significantly more room than the compressed Season 1 schedule allowed. Based on everything the trailer has confirmed and everything the October 4th premiere is about to finally deliver, Season 2 Episode 1 is the most anticipated hour of broadcast television this fall, and based on what Tate Dutton did in that Season 1 finale, it is going to carry more emotional weight than any premiere this show has ever produced. Now the conversation moves to the fans. 3 questions need answering before October 4th. The trailer shows Kayce in a fistfight at East Camp, which is the most visually spectacular thing in the footage. But does Episode 1 spend more time on the East Camp confrontation than on Tate's psychological state after killing a man? And is that the right creative choice for a season that is supposed to be about what the cost of this life actually is? Cal declined to confirm his Episode 2 presence. Does Episode 1 end with Cal's cancer, combined with ambush injuries, producing an outcome that makes the next 18 episodes a show about grief rather than investigation? And is the audience prepared for Marshals to become a fundamentally different show from the one Season 1 established? And the question that the Park City filming location makes most urgent: does Kayce Dutton actually cross into Texas in Episode 1, or does the show spend several episodes building toward that departure before finally delivering the moment where Kayce heads south and the Yellowstone universe converges on the same geography for the first time since the franchise began? The video on screen covers everything else fans need to know before October 4th finally arrives and Season 2 Episode 1 begins.